Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, everyone. And awesome, Bob and Jay for the music. And I really want to thank a person who's not here, which is Reverend Karen. I know many of you know her and love her, and of course have been connected with her for probably much longer period of time than Fonnie and myself. But there's a great sense of gratitude for her seeing something in me to allow me to come up here and speak. And that in itself, I feel, is special, because I'm not yet a reverend. And sometimes you have those doubts in your mind, like, am I qualified? And even though I've been studying this material for a long time, there's been a few reverends that have actually said, hey, Ron, we'd love to have you come and talk. And yeah, some of this stuff does come from my book. But some of this, as we know, comes from life. And so the subject of gratitude, which is something I did write about, to me, I think is probably elemental to pretty much our biggest way that we can shift and change our life for the better. And I like to start off with a couple of quotes. And one of the quotes that I would say is one of my most favorite quotes is from a 14th century philosopher and Christian mystic called Meister Eckhart. And that is, if you were to, throughout your life, if you were to only say one prayer, thank you would be suffice. If you were to only say one prayer, thank you would be suffice. That says it all. I also like other quotes, and there's tons of them out there. And another favorite is Piglet and Winnie the Pooh. He says, though my heart is small, it's filled with gratitude. Gratitude, we can either practice, or life is going to practice it on us. And our perception of what the events is our choice. We can either see them as great moments, things that add value to our life, or we can choose not to. But I believe there's things in our life that sometimes we recognize and we see them, and they actually are awe-inspiring. They're life-changing. And we can even reflect on them. That in itself can help change our mental vibration and make a difference, not only to ourselves, but because we're an integral part of the divine matrix of the universe, as we raise our vibration, we're contributing to the entire universe. 2004, when my wife, Fonnie, and we made this radical life change. And we decided to sell our house in Maryland. We were sick of winters. We decided to sell our house, quit our jobs, come down to Florida, buy a house, and start a business. It's a sign and graphics business. We started it in Cape Coral, Florida. This was a big thing for us. We didn't know anybody in Florida. We just had a dream. We said, we're going to do this. And at that time, 2004, Cape Coral was booming. It was the fourth fastest growing city in the United States. You could open any business and do well. And we found that we made so many friends. We were networking through the Chamber of Commerce, business networking. We joined a Rotary. We joined different groups. And we had friends. Our friends were our customers. And business grew. But the biggest thing what happened was when we moved to Cape Coral, it was like that real estate boom time. And the biggest advice was buy a lot. We didn't know what that meant. We didn't know if it was a lot of land or just go on a shopping spree. And we basically probably did both. We bought a building lot because our future was to build a commercial building and not only have a space for our business, but to be able to generate rental income. So we made this investment. And, of course, we bought a lot. We bought a lot of stuff like we always do, that we probably don't need and don't necessarily appreciate. And as 2007, 2008 shifted, and it shifted for a lot of people and a lot of business owners, the lot that we had, the lot of stuff, including the lot of land, gone. Not only that, our only income was this business. We were employing family members And I'm not a person that likes to let anybody go. And with the optimistic mindset that I had, I kept saying, it's going to turn around, it's going to turn around, it's going to turn around. And of course, it went the other way. So life wakes you up. And I had a lot of friends, a lot of business people, and they lost a lot more than me. They lost a lot more than us. People that were just completely wiped out. We had a roof over our head. We could feed ourselves. And so that's where the sacred sense of gratitude, we start to focus on those things. We ended up actually eventually selling our business. So we were fortunate. Some businesses didn't get sold. They went out of business. And from there, it springboarded Fani. Here's what we look at. We look at like, wow, what a turning point. She would not be up here singing. She would not be doing the gift that she has if we didn't sell that business. We'd probably still be doing that. And then myself as a life coach and writing a book and speaking, all that transpired. So again, gratitude for an event. Sure, I could look at it. We could all look at events. Like, wow, why did this happen to me? The victim mindset. But we can also say, you know what? That probably was a divine blessing. And the business may be sold, but we still have friends. Friends are probably one of the biggest qualities to our life. And our journey brought us friends. You're our friends. That journey actually made us find the Center for Spiritual Living in Cape Coral, Florida. We decided to be mindfully practicing gratitude or anything that would shift our vibration. And we had one friend that actually had the movie for Michael Beckwith. Anybody familiar with Michael Beckwith? Yeah. Had one of the movie that came out with Michael Beckwith, and I'm like, I was just listening to a meditation. I didn't even know who Michael Beckwith was. I had just downloaded the meditation, and I was listening to the meditation. I shut it off, and there was an email from one of my friends that invited us to come to her house and watch this movie about Michael Beckwith. And I was like, I want to watch this. That led to an invitation into the Center for Spiritual Living and connected with a whole other group, whole other community, and adopting a practice of change your thinking and change your life. So to be grateful for that. And everything, we have these moments in our life, and they're the awe-inspiring moments. I'm sure many of you probably have children, right? Or you've maybe been present when there's been a birth. And for me, it was like, when that happened, even with our first child, I was like, the very first breath, that's my daughter. Oh my God. Nothing mattered at that point. Nothing mattered. And that feeling of just time standing still. And of course, my wife, my beautiful wife, is the one that went through the delivery and everything. But here I am. I'm ready to kiss the doctor. I'm ready to kiss everybody in the whole hospital. It was just that was like, oh my goodness. The first breath. And honestly, I was one of the only family members to be present when my dad made his transition and made his last breath. And I was hearing him say how proud he was of me, how proud he was of my brother, how proud he was of my sister, how life couldn't have been better. My dad lived a very difficult life. As a young child, he had to go to work, bring money for the family. He didn't have the life I had, but he had given me a wonderful life. And so as he was expressing his gratitude to me, and he said this thing, he said, life ended up being perfect. Can you imagine that? Now, I don't always think that's a joyous moment to be with somebody who's passing. Really, you want people to stay around forever. But where his mindset was, and for me to be able to express my gratitude and actually having that moment. Yesterday, Fani and I went to a Toastmasters event, and it was public speaking contest, right? The world's greatest fear. And we've got some really gifted speakers. And one of them, she talked about inventing a time machine where you can go back to the moments in your life that were so special. We've got that time machine here and here. And we can use those moments and lift our vibration. Just being able to kind of spend a little time recognizing that. Life goes so fast in the hustle and bustle, and we're so busy being busy. And sometimes when we stop and breathe, and we have that ability to connect with the very thing that lives, breathes, and exists within us in the very moments in our life that allows us to feel that feeling of gratitude, deep sense of gratitude. Now, as our business kind of made this drastic change, it made me think, okay, if I'm going to study and I'm going to practice and I'm going to learn, I'm going to write a book someday, I want to be able to see what's out there. And I started doing a lot of research. And if you Google gratitude experiments, there's tons of them out there. One of the probably more famous ones is Dr. Emmons and Dr. McCullough. Dr. Emmons ended up writing several books on gratitude. And basically, they took 3 groups. Group A, Group B, Group C. Group A was to take no more than 2 minutes a day. Imagine that. We all have 2 minutes? No more than 2 minutes. Not a 10-minute, not a 15-minute meditation, just 2 minutes. And all they did was to write anything that they were grateful for. It could be simple. It could be an event. It could be a person. It could be their dog. Group B was to write things that were hassles or challenges or difficulties. You can see where this one's going. And they were to contemplate on that and write that for 2 minutes. And then Group C was just like that control group. They just write on anything. You know, whether it was about dinosaurs or the Rolling Stones or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, it really didn't matter. And after time, they did this experiment over and over again. After time, they found out that Group A had significant measurable things in the areas of, they can actually measure happiness through a personal score that they take a survey before and after. But they also take saliva tests and serotonin and dopamine, those feel-good things, the things that really connect us, the chemicals that are there when a mother is with their child. Those become elevated. They actually slept better. They had more confidence. They exercised more. They ate better. There were things that changed in their life. People that had anxiety and depression that seemed to just go away. All for 2 minutes a day. Even their health, things in their health were measurable. They set goals. They actually went out and did those goals, all because of a mental shift. So if there's anything you take away from today, think about 2 minutes a day. If you can practice 2 minutes a day and take a journal and just write things that you're grateful for. And sometimes it's the simplest things. You know, even if it's just being grateful for the chair, grateful for my breath, right? Not my breath, but your breath. Honestly, I had a salad with a bunch of onions, and I ate a whole box of, Altoids, and it didn't seem to work. So sorry. But grateful for just the simple little things. Grateful for laughter. Grateful for friends. I have a friend who's a life coach, and she said sometimes people go to try to really wrestle around the things that they struggle, a person or an event that they just can't be grateful for. And her practice is start simple. In your journal, grateful for the paper, grateful for the pencil. Build the gratitude muscle, because it is a muscle. And as you start to build that and you open up your heart, things shift. And you start to see gratitude in everything. So those are the simple things that we can do. There's another experiment that a couple of researchers did, and all they had was they had this group write letters. They didn't have to mail them. Of course, it would be nice if they mailed them, but they didn't have to mail them. Their whole thing was writing letters of people that they appreciated, and in that letter, putting all their thoughts, and to spend a whole 30 days doing this effort, a different letter each day. Could you imagine that? Do you have 30 people in your life, or 30 people you can think about? And one person was like, she said she'd have a conversation with a stranger, and she goes, "You're going to be my letter today." Another person, she goes, "Well, I'm a visual person. I'm going to create a gratitude picture book. I'll take a picture of that flower that's saying, 'Look at me, look at me.' I'll take a picture of the beautiful sunset, or the trees, or nature, or my best friend, or my best friend's dog." And she developed this 365-day practice. And she writes in journals about this in her blog, and it was like, it shifted her entire world. Because we're vibrational beings. And all these practices, what they do is they take our dial and they put us on that frequency, just like a radio, where we're only listening to what aligns with the gratitude that's within, that sacred space that's within. And so when we're practicing this, we're not even hearing any of those other stations. Our mind and our entire life starts to line up, and miracles start to happen. Synchronicities start to happen. Things are working for you, not against you. And you start to see it that way and believe it that way, simply from taking the 2 minutes a day and shifting your world. This has been something that I have kind of thought about putting these rituals together. Because anytime we have a ritual, that actually gives us a thing of practicing. You know, you could do things such as go onto YouTube and listen to gratitude meditations. You can do what's called, Thich Nhat Hanh has this one. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Thich Nhat Hanh. He's written a lot of books, and he's got this practice which is just as simple as breathing in, breathing out, and saying, "Thank you." Let's do that. Just breathe in. Thank you. And if you use that, and he said that just shifts, a very simple prescription, that just shifts your energy. Or go to the mirror and look at yourself in the eyes and say thank you to yourself. And when I read about that, you actually have to look yourself in the eyes and you say thank you to your full name. So it's like, I don't always call myself Ronald Edward Frost. Matter of fact, that was when I got in trouble, and that's what my mom used to call me. And like, oh no, this is going to bring up something else. But it's like you say your whole full name, and you receive it. That little bit will shift your day. If you start your morning with your shower, brushing your teeth, and quite often that's where we are in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror. Pause. Look at yourself in the eyes and say, thank you. And say your name and receive the blessing. Life can get busy. It can pull us in different directions, but it's kind of up to us to be able to see that. And it's, like I said, it could be in the child, the first breath. It could be like with my dad, the last breath. Or it could be moments that take your breath away. Or it could be within, like Thich Nhat Hanh says, in your breathing. This simple, sacred saying of just, thank you. If that was the only prayer, that would be suffice. My Toastmasters did a project. Quite often with Toastmasters, it's about public speaking and leadership. And we get involved in community projects too. And one girl by the name of Jamela Brooks in our club said, I want to do a gratitude project. It was between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it was about 6 years ago. And you can find the video on YouTube. And basically, we set up in Gulf Coast Town Center. How many people are familiar with Gulf Coast Town Center? Down in Estero. It's an outdoor mall. And we just set up the camera and a microphone, and we randomly went up to people and we said, would you like to express gratitude on film? You know, we had to get them to sign a release so we could make a YouTube video. And everyone was like, yeah, can I get a copy of that YouTube video once it's up there? And so we were collecting names and their emails, and it's the most amazing video. I saw Bob liked it on Facebook. That video I share every year on Facebook, and I have the same emotions come up in me when I watch it. We had the person that was a veteran from the military, and his son is now serving, and he was expressing gratitude for his life as well as his son's life. There was the mother and a daughter that were out shopping that day. There were even two best friends that had been together through so many life experiences, and they were actually, one was getting engaged and one was getting married like right about the same time. And so for them to be able to share this, young, old, we just went up to everybody. And what happened to the five of us that did this activity, we walked away feeling good. You can't help. But when you do something like that, asking people, just random people, to share what they're grateful for, you can't help but feeling that. And hopefully if you do watch that video, it's called Get Your Gratitude On. I actually invented a day called Get Your Gratitude On Day, and I was going up to people saying, it's a holiday, did you know that? I figured if Seinfeld could have Festivus, I mean, we could do Get Your Gratitude. And it was fun, and it was fun to make that. And of course, if you see that on YouTube, give it a little thumbs up, a little like. This is up to us. We have this ability to raise our vibration. Of course, for ourselves, we know this science works. We can see that in experiments. But it's up to us to set that little reminder every day, to look into the mirror, to write the journal, to thank someone, to call somebody and tell them you love them and tell them why. Life is so fast, but when we have that, we're not only raising our vibration, we are an integral part of the divine matrix of the universe. And this is not just for us. It's that ripple effect, where that stone that drops in the water, we're that center, and those ripples are the world that we uplift at the same time. Let's take this into prayer. If you feel you want to close your eyes, relax, breathe. And know with me that in this field of gratitude, regardless of what the world may appear to us, we know that there's one thing behind it, one infinite power, one infinite presence, one divine thing. It is the eternal love that supports, that uplifts, that is giving and expanding within the entire universe. It is the very nature of that which creates us. We cannot be left out of that equation. If it's infinite, if it's within all things, the brightest star in the sky and the smallest grain of sand, within all nature, within everything, visible and invisible, it has to be within us. So we too have this divine expression, all the qualities of whatever we want to call it. Source, creator, God, spirit, infinite. It is resonant in living and breathing and existing through us. Knowing this, I know that we are blessed. We're continuously blessed. The divine nature of our lives is forever expanding in a field of goodness. And as I speak for not only this center, I speak for the world, the greater world. Regardless of the situation, regardless of what might be seen to be the challenge, we're all brothers and sisters. Regardless of country of origin, color of skin, religious beliefs, whatever, we're all brothers and sisters. We're all spiritual beings having a human experience. And to know that there is what we call the divine nature of abundance and of goodness and of beauty and everything. And in deep sense of gratitude for this time together and for this prayer and for these words, I render on to the divine law of creation, knowing it is beautiful and it's complete. And together we say, and so it is. Namaste.